Hello firearms friends, we're back to show you something coming up on day 2 of our May Premier firearms auction. That's tomorrow, if you're paying attention. And it's a gun that's a little bit weird with a great story, so how could I not tell you about the Cochran patent turret pistol. It is one of perhaps the most well-known oddities in the world of firearms collecting. So odd, in fact, there's one featured on page 195 of Wynet's Firearms Curiosa. They're just extremely famous for being so unusual with this big horizontal revolving turret which houses the chambers. Now, the Porter revolving turrets are a little more well-known. They're a vertically oriented turret of the same sort of idea, but while those are more perhaps well-known, I know we've seen them come through Rock Island quite a bit more, these are far more desirable by collectors. Part of which is in no doubt due to the great story of John Webster Cochran, who at 18 is designing a cannon with a similar rotating device that increases, of course, its rate of fire. It performs well. In fact, it performs so well that he's able to demonstrate it to some military heads and people who can make these decisions in England and France who may possibly procure his design. Well, they don't take it. But long story short, it comes to the attention of the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, who is quite interested, requests a demonstration, and the cannon performs quite admirably, firing hour after hour of shots at rates of sometimes as many 100 every 15 minutes, so it's quite an increase in firepower. Its reliability has been shown. The Sultan supposedly so impressed, he orders a brass 12-pounder version, as well as a couple smaller versions, sends him home with a big sack of gold or some sort of prize money, and then Cochran returns to the United States. And I mean, after you would have experienced such success with no less than the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, certainly you would come back to the United States and try to use this design to capitalize on the hot market for self-defense firearms. And here we have the Cochran turret pistol. He's patenting this in, I think it's about 1837, 1838. So we're right there with Samuel Colt Patterson patent. If that gives you any idea of the competition he was facing and the type of market and what designs were on the table at the time, boy, to think that this was a competitor head-to-head with the Patterson revolver, to me, is just beyond cool. Now, the revolver that Cochran brought to market was this 7-shot, as we mentioned, horizontally rotating turret, 36 caliber revolver. This was not automatically synced up. You had to manually spin the turret, and you did that by pushing this button here, which lifted a notch, which heads into these little recessed dimples here, which kind of locks it into place so your chamber is oriented with your barrel. This is how we had avoided infringing on Samuel Colt's patent, was by still having to manually index your cylinder. Opening could be done by pulling on the sight, and then your cylinder could be changed out. It gives us a look at the bottom as well, and as you can tell, a very simple design. History also tells us that they're pretty well made, like his cannons, like a later military trials with his rifle. These are well-made items, but as with anything involving a radial turret and underhammer on a percussion system, it bears the fatal flaws of each. With the underhammer, of course, in a percussion system, you risk losing your percussion caps off the nipples right there on the bottom, especially after each gunshot. And with a turret pistol, of course, there's no need to mention the hazards of what could happen in a catastrophic chain fire to you and, well, everybody around you in a 360-degree radius. So when there's other options on the marketplace that don't have such fatal flaws, almost literally, obviously it never bodes well for the system that does have those flaws. And so only about 150 of Cochran's turret pistols were made. He did make other versions, some with wooden handles, some with 2 triggers. There are some cased versions. Even as we mentioned, a rifle, an 11-shot rifle that did extremely well, according to testimony in its military trials, and supposedly had no problems chain firing despite being basically seasoned with loose powder, but a story for another day. This one, of course, is another variation with its full German grip. The wood grips you'll often see come up here and stop, and then metal will meet the cylinder in the back here, but this is full German silver and with some, quite nice engraving flourishes here just above the wrist of almost a saw handle grip there. Very handsome version of the Cochrane turret pistol. As we mentioned, this one will be available tomorrow, day 2 of our May Premier Firearms Auctions. Like I said, these are kind of famous for being so unusual, and so it does draw a pre-auction estimate of $20,000 to $35,000 for the Cochrane turret pistol. So start counting your pennies now, and we'll see you in time for tomorrow's video. But until then, keep your powder dry.